What is going on, everybody? It is episode 637 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Yesterday, we put up a poll for you guys and asked, do you think Phil is ever going to come back on PCC? But I don't remember what your result was.
Because we didn't, as per usual with me, I forgot.
We forgot to end the poll. Well, we have the answer. Phil is here.
Yes.
They have guns.
Yes. We have ended the poll. We will end the poll today, however. We do have a separate one today, but we did have Phil back today.
Hi, everybody. My name's Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary. How are you guys doing?
We're okay. Yeah. We had to watch The Acolyte last night, so that was rough.
Condolences.
It wasn't pleasant.
The review is already out.
Yes.
If you guys haven't seen it already, you should wait until the end of the show to watch that, but it was painful.
Before the show today, I was asking Phil about, we were talking about fiat currency and taxing and things over in Ukraine.
Yeah.
As you usually do before talking about Amanda Stenberg and what's going on with Star Wars.
I'm so glad we can talk about Amanda Stenberg and not any of that.
Will there be Ozempic conversation today? I'm kind of hoping for Ozempic conversation.
We're a little bit thin on Ozempic topics right now. Yes, guys, before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already? Please and thank you. Share this video with your friends, family, loved ones, the people you like, the people you hate, people you're pretty much indifferent to, everyone, because the fastest way to help this show grow is to share it out and hope that they share it with their friends, loved ones, so on and so forth. And remember that all Super Chats $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read those Super Chats right then and there, and then we will do our very best to get back on topic. We don't always achieve that, but we do most of the time.
We'll be pointed in that direction.
Yes, exactly. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, yes, as you saw from the thumbnail today, it says, "May the cringe be with you." Well, Amanda Stenberg, who plays Osha and May on The Acolyte, the brand new Star Wars show that nobody likes, has made a clapback video where she is twerking to prove the haters wrong and calling everyone who doesn't like The Acolyte.
Just twerking the tears away.
Yes. Do you remember
twerking the pain away.
Do you remember that video where they were talking about twerking being like expelling negative energy?
Yeah.
That's what this was.
It's therapeutic twerking.
Yeah, so
that's what she did.
It's as you guys know, I'm not. Mary is a connoisseur of cringe. I am not, and I implore all of you to be ready for this.
I am so excited because I've already watched it, of course. Brett and Phil have yet to experience this in all its glory.
I've seen at least a minute of it without the audio on, and that was enough to send me.
Yeah, you need to hear and have the full sensory experience and really take it all in.
So we've got that. We're also going to talk about, not that long ago, we talked about female rage retreats.
Rituals, yeah.
Rituals. Today we're going to talk about male rage retreats. So the men are like, we can do it too. So we're going to talk about.
We can spend thousands of dollars to scream in the forest too.
Don't do it, guys. Go do man shit.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Also, because we didn't get to it yesterday, we're going to talk about the brand new phenomenon that's sweeping the world. Damn it. We need a horse pun. That is
galloping all over the world.
Galloping across America. It's called hobbyhorsing. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it.
Dane was so disappointed yesterday that we didn't have time for it.
He really wanted that.
He really wanted to talk about hobbyhorsing.
All right. So if you guys are ready, we'll just get right into it. Mary.
Let's go.
Phil?
Let's go.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about this. So do you remember about a year ago when Oceangate happened and they used the Xbox controller to try and go and see the Titanic?
Literally, how could we forget?
Exactly. We had that amazing song that I played on the show from the rapper.
Yeah, I feel weird about it because it's, still fresh. Like, people did actually get imploded and strewn about the ocean, but they're going to do it again.
Yes, and I have a sinking feeling about this one. Co-founder of Oceangate is organizing a trip to one of the world's deepest sinkholes 1 year after the other co-founder of the company was killed on the sub visiting the Titanic. He is planning to visit the 663-foot deep unexplored sinkhole in the Bahamas.
What is wrong with these people? You just get so rich and so bored that you kind of just want to go out in a blaze of glory, or at least this is how he perceives it.
Yeah, I mean,
you learned
what
nothing.
Else do you do?
It's also so mimetically perfect that Oceangate is called Oceangate. You know what I mean? How does that? This is why people think we live in a simulation, is things like that.
If there ends up being some type of like impropriety, like money was sent to the wrong place, they skimped on.
I think people dying on one of their submarines is an impropriety, to say the least.
I'm just saying, but it wasn't
We're
called
gonna have Oceangate
2 Electric Boogaloo. And they're going to go and do this more.
And this is at the same time as some other unaffiliated billionaire is, doing his own project as well.
To the Titanic.
Yeah, to the Titanic.
So when you get that rich, I guess your goal is to just go down to the bottom of the ocean.
Who's building these ships?
I don't know.
DEI hires.
It says,
but it's not. But seriously though, there's not like a market. So like these dudes are like, no, I got this. They have to be, right?
It's that male pioneering spirit that's been crushed. In modern day.
Yeah, the other
there's
submersible...
SpaceX and there's Oceangate.
The submersible companies are... The smart submersible companies are selling to the cartels.
Yeah, and actually, like, SpaceX is totally different because they have been doing that stuff without human beings all over the place. They're just like, send robots, man.
But I'm sure they use test, submersibles that are not manned by anybody.
I'm not so sure. Look what happened last year.
They thought they had it.
Is there like a meme to be made? Like, is the cure?
They thought they ate with that one.
They got it.
Is the meme for this supposed to be like, is the cure to male loneliness to take a submersible down to the bottom of the ocean and visit the Titanic?
Do we know what's inside sinkholes?
I don't know. It kind of gone the way of remember when everybody loved quicksand and quicksand was a thing? Nobody talks.
What do you mean
quicksand.
Everyone loved quicksand?
It was a movie trope and a literary trope in the 80s. Somebody was always getting stuck in quicksand.
I just remember The Princess Bride.
Nobody ever gets stuck in quicksand.
Magnum PI, I think, got into some quicksand one time.
Nobody ever gets stuck in quicksand.
I'm sure that Arnold Schwarzenegger got stuck in.
You know what it is now? Like somebody would fall into the quicksand and they would go on their phone and see how to get out before it got to the bottom. And they'd be like, going all the way up as they search on their phone.
Gotta post one last TikTok before it's over.
No, and there's like a video explaining how to get out of a sinkhole or how to get out of the quicksand, but it's got a really long intro, like one of those cooking videos.
It's a really long commercial that you have to wait to watch, and the guy dies.
He doesn't have YouTube Premium.
He's got his hand sticking out, and as it goes, the video starts.
He doesn't have YouTube Premium, and it doesn't have skippable ads, and then he keeps hitting the button and nothing happens.
So this says each year several people drown in Deans due to a variety of misfortunes. We fully expect to find human remains and prepared to handle those situations with proper respect for the families. So people have already died at this
By
location.
putting pictures on the internet.
Yes.
People have already died at this location and they're like, yeah, this is where we're going to go next. Why?
Proper respect.
I suppose it maybe
Men used to go to war and now they take submersibles into sinkholes.
Well, no. See, the thing is before going to war was the poor man's game. Now going to sinkholes is a rich man's game.
True.
You can be poor and I guess you could be poor and go to a sinkhole. You just have to drown really, really quickly and sink to the bottom. Yeah, it's the problem. All right. I don't know how to preface this one.
Other holes. I wish I didn't say that. Okay, George Santos decided that he wasn't making enough money with Cameo, and he just launched his OnlyFans page. And, we definitely saw this coming. But it's pricey.
$30.
Pricey OnlyFans.
$29.99.
Yeah. He said this hole is expensive.
Yes.
Did he say that?
No.
Like, this better not be like.
Kind of thought he would have.
He's like, look, he bought a Red camera. Like, he's not filming this on a phone.
Look, it might be a troll. He might be just using this to post videos that are totally normal, and he's just trolling people, which I would expect from him.
Which would be awesome. Which would only endear him more.
He said, "Okay, y'all, you got your panties in a bunch. The OnlyFans is not adult content. I decided to go with OnlyFans because I wanted to stir the pot. Folks need to stop being so sensitive."
That's actually perfect. If he's not, especially if he doesn't put any adult content, it's just like he uses it as if he were, it were any other feed or whatever. That's hilarious and perfect, and I back it. Totally back it.
Well, since there's no porn, I guess have fun.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to see George Santos behind the scenes content for $30 a month, though.
$30.
That's a lot.
That's expensive.
That's like 2 Netflix subscriptions.
It is. Or like one of those package deals now where you get Netflix, Peacock, and Apple TV.
Yeah.
The worst part of that being like if you get those services now, you get like those premium packages. It's like Apple TV, Peacock, and Netflix. You get Peacock and Apple TV as like the full subscription, but your Netflix one is ad tier.
Do you think he's gonna collab with Fetterman?
He should. Oh, that's. See,
That'd be
I'm
an
ardent.
iconic duo.
I don't get into the Discord much these days, but when I do, I'm ardent in my Fetterman 2024 campaign that I'm always pushing for. I really do believe that he is the future of this country.
I mean, I agree, but not in the way you think.
Like, I'm kind of...
Go on.
Go on.
Idiocracy.
Well, yeah.
Is the future of
I'm
this
picturing
country.
him getting elected and there's like an ICP concert on Inauguration Day.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm all in for Fetterman 2024.
Are you all in for hoodies under blazers?
Yes.
Look, there are some things about Fetterman that I will never be okay with.
And that's one of them?
And the fact that he dresses like a complete butthole is one of them. He looks ridiculous.
It's just no one wants to see your calves, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
hide those.
I get that you don't want to look pretentious, and I get that. I understand that. Believe me, I get it. But still, you don't have to look like.
I mean, I think that
It's
underdressing on purpose is just as pretentious as overdressing on
I'm
purpose.
starting to feel that way too.
It's the Obama tan suit debacle all over again.
What was the tan suit?
It was like he
debacle?
wore it out of season.
What?
So Obama had a tan suit, and he allegedly wore it out of season, and that was supposed to be like that was what
His
the Democrats
scandal.
say was his scandal, right? They ignore Fast and Furious, they ignore the IRS targeting conservatives, they ignore all of the actual political targeting of his using the government to target his political
Or all
opponents
of the,
and shit.
They also
which is all over the place, and
they
say,
also
"Oh, the tan
conveniently
suit."
forget about all of the drone strikes and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
literally violating the Constitution, killing Americans without due process. But it was the tan suit.
that's what it was.
That's part of why it's so offensive is the fact that they completely ignore legitimate things and make believe, oh, this is the only thing that he did that was bad. There's the only thing that, and it's like it's so trifling. He's so perfect that this is the only bad thing. It's just like the guy is not. He's not a deity. He's a normal human being, and he did president stuff. And presidents do bad stuff sometimes. And so to make believe it like that is just so revolting and disgusting.
So then the question is, does Fetterman does he like break his rule and wear a suit just for the day he's inaugurated, and then every day after that, him and Zelensky get together, and Zelensky's in his his green sweater
green
and
sweater.
You know, say what you will about Trump, but he dresses well. He has a good tailor.
sharp dresser, blue suit.
Have you been looking at these threads from Dye Workwear?
No. What?
You seen this guy?
No.
His name is Derek. He
Oh, yes. He's
What is
the
it?
worst.
he just creates all of these threads, mainly critiquing right-wing public figures
It's
on
so nauseating.
on the way that they dress, their tailoring,
Okay.
Yeah.
faux pas,
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just all
especially
it is-
Andrew Tate.
all he's doing is it's all about posturing to the left, getting head pats from people on the left. It's disgusting.
Which is weird because the left is like the least aesthetic faction of.
It's the very
Society.
super
Like, they-
establishment. It's super
They
establishment.
take pride in being fat and ugly. So I don't know when they started caring about people dressing well and presenting themselves well.
I agree generally, but he's very like inside the Beltway DC kind of. I know he's in San Francisco, but he's very inside the very upper crust snotty. Like
We should
it's
have him on the show.
Very blue blood kind of. I think it's blue blood. I might be using the term wrong, but very like snotty dude. And what he's doing is he is a fashion critic, and that's fine and stuff. But he's intentionally critiquing people that are basically persona non grata or unpopular in the politically correct circles, and he's doing it so that way they will give him head pats.
Like,
and
hey,
you got the right opinion.
I'm just talking about workwear.
Exactly, because I called him out one time and he replied. He was like, "Look at how mad he is that I'm talking about this." I'm like, the whole point is this is about you looking for head pats from people in political circles and stuff. And he's just like, "Oh, you're so mad." I'm like, "You're so."
Yeah, he never like talks about Hollywood red carpet looks.
No,
He's
never.
only talking about.
I don't have anything wrong with that because everybody's looking to find their niche, and like
Sure.
there's a million
Derek-
people doing that. critique.
Derek, if you see this, please come on the show. We would love to talk to you.
He can make fun of me for my long shirts that everybody makes fun of me for.
Yeah, we'll have a fashion episode.
Can't wait. All right, Phil, I'm going to get your take on this. Did you see that YouTube is looking to incorporate its own version of context notes Did you see
Community
this?
notes.
Like
yeah,
community
they're adding
notes, just like
context to
Twitter?
videos. They
YouTube
already
is?
do this every time we mention, and we'll get it now.
Wait, ready?
The Illuminati, abortion,
Climate
change.
The episode just explodes.
Yeah, we're going to get every context note now,
Yes.
but they're planning to implement this soon.
It says YouTube reveals Twitter-like community notes section. It says on June 17th, YouTube announced they are experimenting with a feature similar to community notes where users can add context to videos even if it's not their own video. I mean, that's what comment sections used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these are just going to be like the approved comment sections. So it's just going to be, it's curated comments, right?
It says, starting today, we are testing an experimental feature to allow people to add notes to provide relevant, timely, and easy to understand context on videos, they said in a blog post. I would be interested to know whether like you as the creator can like remove it or not.
Well, if you can't on X, then you can't on YouTube. And I think community notes, for the most part, have just ruined satire on Twitter. If you're not smart enough to understand that Poo Crave isn't a real publication, maybe that's your problem.
Yes.
You know? I don't like community notes for that reason. Although they have BTFO'd several people.
I did like the one where it says like the person's like Sydney Sweeney's breasts aren't that big, and then she said yes they are.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, like it's either going to be serious fact checking or not.
Or funny.
Yeah.
And funny to me is hilarious, but it's not actually the point of why the community notes are there. Now they could have done something where like the average bra size of like actually tried to do it, but that's not what they did.
Does anyone know what Sydney Sweeney's bra size is?
Some people have to go and
Let
find
us
out.
know.
All right, you're gonna have to tell because I imagine that a certain amount of people in our chat won't know who Scooter Braun is.
We've definitely talked about
We
Scooter
have.
Braun before, and I wanted your take on this, Phil, since you know about things in the music industry. But it was recently announced that Scooter Braun is retiring from his career of managing artists after 23 years. He said, "This chapter has come to an end. The wisdom has proven to be correct. I never saw how this chapter would end. I never saw it happening, but it did. I will cherish every moment of it. I made my plan, but it turns out I like God's plan better. Cheers." And he limited the comment section to only people that he follows, I assume. That's because Swifties are celebrating the fact that Scooter has retired from at least this business venture that he's known for. He was the one who found Justin Bieber. He's managed Demi Lovato, Ariana Grande, lots of these people. People were mad at him for years now because he acquired Taylor's catalog after she was no longer at Big Machine Records. And for some reason, she turned this into some kind of victim narrative, even though if you have a record label, you do not own
Music gets
your
bought
music.
and sold all the time.
But yeah, she has radicalized her fans against him. So they said, yeah, he doesn't want to spend time with his kids. Taylor ruined his career, as she should. Swifties, we won. Good riddance. Karma. Blah, blah, blah. They're very happy about this.
Okay, look, I'm a massive Taylor Swift fan. Taylor Swift's fans are absolutely the least intelligent, least educated about the music industry that you're ever going to find. They love Taylor Swift, so whatever Taylor Swift does is right. That's just the way that it is. It doesn't matter what she does. They're just going to think that she's right. As for Scooter retiring, look, the guy's got a boatload of money. He probably owns a whole lot of music and gets a big gigantic check.
Well, he
every month or every
has
month.
this entertainment company called Hybe, which is probably just a talent agency.
Yeah.
I
as
mean,
far
how
as I
old's
can
the
tell.
guy?
He
Can't
might
be
in
older than his 40s.
40s, 50s,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna lighten the load. So good for him, you know.
I just wanted to call back to back in like 2019 when the Swifties were like really mobilized against him because Taylor kept posting all of these Tumblr threads about how she was being, victimized and aggrieved, and like, I wrote these songs in my bedroom and now you're trying to tell me that they're not mine? Because she doesn't understand business, or more likely, she does understand perfectly well how the music business works, and she understood perfectly well that her music was not her own property, having a record label, and then uses her fans' ignorance to come after people that she has a personal gripe with. But he, at the time, posted on Instagram, at Taylor Swift, "Since your public statement last week, there have been numerous death threats directed at my family. This morning, I spoke out publicly for the first time, saying I wouldn't participate in a social media war. However, I came home tonight to find my wife had received a phone call threatening the safety of our children, as well as other threats seen above. Thinking of my wife and children, my team and their families, I've gone through a range of emotions and how to deal with this. I write this now only after a deep breath and much reflection. I am certain there is no situation ever worth jeopardizing anyone's safety. So Swifties were literally doxing and threatening this man for doing what plenty of other people have done in the music industry. And this was after she already left Big Machine Records, that he acquired it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was some kind of Machiavellian plot that he enacted upon her.
Well, no, that's the problem.
She knew that this was...
Yeah, it is completely legitimate to say that, like, artists and people that write music and stuff, frequently they get screwed when it comes to the ownership of their music. That's definitely true. But also Taylor Swift was not, even when she was complaining about Scooter Braun, like, she was not in a situation where she was, like, you know, not a gigantic star, right? She was already a huge star. She was already had no issues with money or anything. And the people that really have the most to complain about it are the people that, like, you know, can't pay their bills and don't have enough money to live on, you know?
What's ironic is that even Taylor's re-recorded songs don't belong to her because she is still under a record label, which means this could all happen all over again. She's at Republic Records, I believe.
Yeah, but it depends.
So she left their record label. Someone could come along and buy Republic Records and then be the next Scooter Braun.
Well, no, it depends, because there's no reason to believe that she doesn't own the majority of her records, or that she doesn't have some kind of deal where she has ownership of them. Because when she signed the deal with Republic, she was already a massive artist.
She had more bargaining power.
Exactly.
Sure.
She had a significantly, like, she could very well have said, look, I'm going to own the songs after whatever. So, like, a lot of times it might be that she has a licensing deal with them, so they own the songs for X amount of time,
and then
afterwards it reverts back to her for service or whatever. So it's completely reasonable to think that that might be the situation.
However, her dad owned a stake in Big Machine when she was at Big Machine, so I mean,
look, Taylor Swift complaining about the music business is a little bit like...
I just don't like the
intellectual dishonesty of talking about, I wrote these in my room, what do you mean I don't own them? Because she knows full well
like acting
what's
like
going
a child.
on. That's mobilizing people against something you know to be untrue, which is more dishonest.
And that just goes to show that Swifties and stans in general are vindictive psychopaths. They will go after not only her business rivals, but also her ex-boyfriends. One of whom is Matty Healy, and he recently announced his engagement to his now fiancée, Gabriette, and Swifties came after him for, I guess, being in another relationship after dating Taylor Swift. One of them said, I just don't understand why he would propose so soon after an album like Tortured Poets Department drops. They've been dating 10 months. She's 26. She's not going anywhere. He couldn't wait 6 months or another year. Why would he be so insensitive to Taylor? It just feels like he really wants to hurt her. Like he doesn't care about her feelings at all. Were the Swifties right about him this whole time? Did they stop her from getting too far deep into a relationship with someone who actually doesn't care about her? Because this behavior says, I don't care about you at all.
It can't be real.
If you're not dating her anymore, why exactly would you care about her and her feelings about your new relationship?
This can't be real.
It's real.
Imagine
it's completely real.
He's like, well, I was going to propose, but I decided to wait 6 more months just to,
just to protect my ex-girlfriend's feelings. They dated for 3 months, by the way.
Yes.
That's insane. Another one said Taylor Swift was Matty Healy's short-term practice GF who fixed him before he settled down and got engaged. Many such cases. Is this true? Are there many such cases?
I have no idea if that's actually true. It sounds like something they made up personally.
And then also her long-term boyfriend, Joe Alwyn, made a statement recently about the blowback that he got when they split up back in 2022, I believe.
Yeah.
He said, I would hope that anyone and everyone can empathize and understand the difficulties that come with the end of a long, loving, fully committed relationship of over 6.5 years. That's a hard thing to navigate. What's unusual and abnormal in this situation is that 1 week later, it's suddenly in the public domain and the outside world is able to weigh in.
Yeah, I hate it when my relationships go into the public domain and then suddenly, Disney has to. Disney can't make a story about it anymore because everybody else can. It becomes your own version of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
I mean, he must have saw this coming because she's so vindictive and toxic that she wants her fans to attack him. And I know that because she has liked memes that were making fun of him after her album came out recently. She acts like a teenage girl.
Mean girl energy does well in the public eye, apparently.
And one person said, my theory as to why some Swifties hate Joe Alwyn is they resent him because he kept their relationship private and didn't want to feed parasocial relationships, therefore gatekeeping Taylor Swift content from them.
That is some crazy
Stans are crazy.
Shit.
Stans are crazy.
Gatekeeping. You didn't let us know about your relationship, so you were gatekeeping Taylor Swift.
She's ours.
That is insane. If you ever find yourself thinking anything like that, you need to pause and probably have something to eat.
Yes.
Intervention.
You need some help.
Time for Stans, honestly. And you know, I think that analysis, although it's insane, is completely true because after she got with Travis Kelce and he was going to her concerts, he's a guy who's already in the public eye and he likes courting that type of attention. It seems like Joe Alwyn isn't so much that type of person. He's an introvert. Travis is an extrovert, but they were saying he supports her career because he's not insecure in his masculinity like Joe Alwyn, who was always trying to bring her down. Just because he didn't make their relationship into a public spectacle.
Why would an introvert enter into that relationship? I mean, maybe he just doesn't understand the depth of where stan culture goes. And if you don't read it, you don't know.
Right.
But that's when you're happiest, when you're not reading stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Guys, I want to talk. So a clip was going viral last night on Twitter. This is from a show from 2020. It was called New Amsterdam. And I want to let you know that Hollywood does in fact believe that racism gives you cancer.
It's true.
It is true.
The experts will tell you that this is true.
So we're going to
Hollywood that gives you cancer.
Before we show the clip, this episode features a 13-year-old Latinx boy who is getting treatment for.
That sounds so much like a contradiction in terms.
He's getting treatment for cancerous tumors, and this is the doctor's prognosis.
We are gonna get copyright struck for this one, and it's so worth it. So you guys just go ahead and listen to this. You're gonna love it.
Make yourself comfortable. There's a couch over there.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. I had Cephas answer some questions from a Harvard test known as unrest. It is designed to measure someone's level of social resistance.
Social resistance.
When people like us oppose the values and policies of the dominant culture.
That's right.
And what does that have to do
Your son, he feels threatened on a daily basis. Like everything he's earned can just be taken away. He's disenfranchised. But because his life is seemingly free from all this, because he can't name it, he's internalizing it.
Name what?
Racism. I think your son's tumor was caused by racism.
That's actually my face right now.
This is the dumbest. It is so stupid. Oh my God.
And an analysis of this episode will push back on your skepticism, saying, for those who haven't experienced racism, Cephas's diagnosis may seem a little far-fetched, but over the years, medical research has found that Black and brown communities have known for quite some time that racism, whether unintentional or intentional, can have damaging health effects on the body. In one 2019 study where 2/3 of the sample group were African American, scientists found that African American participants had higher levels of inflammatory molecules than white subjects. April Thames, an associate professor of psychology and psychiatry, told Science Daily, the connection between discrimination and health isn't surprising. We know discrimination is linked to health outcomes, but no one was sure exactly how it harmed health. I look at it as a chronic stressor. Our results showed that racial discrimination appears to trigger an inflammatory response among African Americans at the cellular level.
I can't believe this.
This show, this episode was from a show called New Amsterdam in the year 2020. This came out. So it's really on everybody else for not picking up on this one sooner. It reminds me of when we talked about, what was the other one that we caught that was like a show that, it was the incel episode from the show, from The Good Doctor from like 2021.
Right.
You know, and this is why when I tell you that my favorite genre of television, which was boomer network television, was the worst, gets the worst of it, gets the worst of modern Hollywood, far worse than the movies do, which have shorter run times and can't fit as much of this garbage in there. I'm not kidding. Television, network television was conquered before anything else because they got to fill 22 episodes every year. So they got to put in a bunch of ridiculous shit that doesn't belong there.
I can't believe that they put that into a storyline.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
And
imagine
then tried
writing
to
that?
convince you that it was true based on reality.
My favorite part is-
give me an effing break.
Unfortunately, there's a deeper analysis of this from a channel called MDTV. But now, like, all the comments are like, who's here from right-wing Twitter? But if you had seen the comments last night...
I'm looking at some of the older
Yes, do you got
comments
some of
right
them?
now.
Okay.
One from a year ago said, I wish there was a crying emoji instead of just a like or dislike. It's so hard to see someone so hurt by people that intentionally or unintentionally do or say racist things. Another one said, this is so powerful. I literally teared up at the big reveal. Just, this is unfortunately the power of Hollywood.
Yes, it is. Your son's tumor was caused by racism.
Another one said, the only time a person isn't good enough is when they're bringing down others purposefully. That's when they're not good enough, because that's when they're not good at all. Be good to others, and most importantly, be good to yourself.
This is where, when people say that the whole progressivism is an ideology, this is where it starts to be, where you see the evidence that there are people that turn this into a new religion.
Yes.
This is faith. Right? This is saying the tumor in you was caused by evil spirits. That is 100% exactly what they're saying. They're not saying it in a way that would have been said 150, 200 years ago, but what they're saying is the evil spirits, the bad juju has manifest in your body. This is 100% of religion. This is spirituality stuff. It's all voodoo mumbo jumbo,
Yeah.
but that's exactly what it is.
It's woke
And that's what
voodoo.
happens. And this is coming from an agnostic, so it's not like I'm like some kind of very religious dude. But when you take one religion away, it is going to be replaced by another. Human beings don't get an option. You don't have a choice. Your society's going to pick a religion that it's going to have that's going to be held up. And it's way better to have Christianity on some form be held up than crazy race-based, like, insane
The fact that
occultism.
nothing in this article, even in the slightest, pushes back to say maybe there could be other factors that led
Unreal.
to inflammation in one group of people but not the other.
This should
No,
be
it's
unsolved.
racism.
This is unsolved mysteries level shit.
Yes.
It has to be racism.
It's that there isn't any other explanation that could possibly given for
Couldn't
something like
possibly
this.
be like disproportionate rates of obesity in the African American cohort. Could it
No,
be that?
And the thing is, like, we're talking about this, but Cory Bush was talking about some congressperson actually gets elected, means real human beings actually vote for this person, means real human beings believe the garbage that comes out of this person's mouth. Just was on a television program the other day saying, oh, I know that you can heal with black girl magic.
Yes.
Like full on crazy mumbo jumbo shit.
Yep.
Like cut the chicken's heads off to get rid of the bad juju crazy shit. That should not be in our damn government.
Another person commented, this is freaking real. I haven't experienced tumors yet, but I'm diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder. And stress is a killer. Our society is so ridiculously focused on success that there are a lot of hurting people out there. We need to take a step back and help each other where we can. And another one said, this is a solid episode and a great lesson. I hope they ruled out physiological causes for the high cortisol too.
By the way, this one is sitting at 4.7K upvotes to 4.4K downvotes. So it's...
Yeah, as for the community notes being added to YouTube, that's fine. Just put back the dislike button. Put back the dislike count on YouTube, and then we'll be fine with that, actually.
I just can't believe, like, it's so funny because people make jokes on here all the time about me referencing the show House, you know, on a regular basis. See how far we've come from a show that went off the air in 2012. Of course, Grey's Anatomy was on that whole time, and Grey's Anatomy is a lot like this too. So maybe
This is
not
literally a Babylon Bee headline
Yes.
in a TV show.
It is. And but here's the thing. It's the language that's used. As long as it's couched in language that sounds clinical, the average person is just going to accept that this doctor, and we're not just talking about the show now, we're talking about this article that was written by this associate professor of psychology. As long as it's couched in medical linguistics, they will be 110% likely to believe this because if they haven't questioned what's going on in the world, they're just not going to do it.
We got a 20 from Francisco Sanchez Jr. I don't need to attend a male rage retreat. All I have to do is remember the college I work at has a 2-to-1 female to male student ratio. Higher education for the emotional class.
There you go.
Amazing.
Again, as long as it's put to you in an eloquent way and it sounds real. I mean, that's how all of the best charlatans work. They make it sound believable to you. So somebody reads into this and they're like, well, my health has been bad lately. Must be because people don't like me.
Miasma of racism in the air.
Yes.
It's making everyone sick.
Is the racism in the room with you right now? All right, let's move. I'm sorry, guys. I had to share that with you. I saw that last night, and I almost didn't want to send it to Mary because I was like, we're gonna have to edit this later. It's gonna get copyright struck. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, no.
Worth it.
We have to talk about this.
It.
All right, what is going on with OnlyFans cop?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to add this to my running list of OnlyFans horror stories. A now ex-cop in Nashville was fired and then arrested because he was caught filming content for OnlyFans while on duty.
Well, you know.
That could happen to anyone.
Excuse me. I thought this was America. Okay.
So this man's name is Sean Herman. You can see his mugshot there. He has been arrested for appearing in an OnlyFans video while on duty. And you can see him in this censored version of the video. Let's take a look.
Here we go.
Told you you were going too fast. Nobody listens to me.
I'm not gonna get a ticket.
How do you think that you're going to get a ticket?
I'm gonna show my.
No, you're not.
Watch me. Just watch.
Good evening, ma'am. I'm Officer Jones, MPD. You know where I pulled you over?
No.
Alright, well, I got you going 65 and I'm 45 back there, okay? You have your license or registration on you?
I actually don't have it in this car, but what if I show you these?
I love how they use his mugshot to censor.
Well, what if you...
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can guess what happened from there.
First of all, like this guy they need to work on their script writing. 45 and a 65 and a 45. They should have come up with a more ridiculous number.
Insane.
It's the story I'm not believing right now.
Is the woman guilty of a crime, or is it just him because he was doing this while on duty?
I mean, is he guilty of a crime, or is he
Yes.
just in violation of his duty as an officer?
It says after he was fired, police continued the investigation, resulting in his arrest. A criminal court judge set his bond at $3,000, and he was released from jail in the early morning hours on Friday, according to inmate records.
So what was the actual crime? Do we know what the actual crime was? Indecent exposure?
It didn't say in this article. We're not sure. But this reminds me of the female cop who had an OnlyFans page and was recognized by someone she pulled over in Minneapolis.
And the guy's like, you have no authority over me. I pay for your OnlyFans subscription.
And he was completely right.
Yeah.
But I think, this guy should be kicked out of the force even if he were doing this off duty, because it completely collapses the idea that you should have any authority over anyone else, in my opinion.
The so I guess it's that he's in uniform while doing this, but is that a crime or is that just I guess that's a crime and not just something?
Yeah, we don't know what they charged him with, but yes, he was arrested and he was put in jail.
It does remind me of also he needs to work on his delivery. What did he say his name was? Was it Officer Johnson? Because if it was Officer Johnson, that makes perfect sense. But it reminds me, you talked about the lady who got recognized by the guy, which reminded everyone of the Blue Bloods episode where the officer had an OnlyFans, and everyone's like, look, the show jumped the shark because they basically, at the end of the episode, say, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, where Frank Reagan should never be like, yes, it's okay for a cop to have an OnlyFans.
Well, that female cop I mentioned, the last thing we heard about her is that she was under investigation by her division, and we didn't hear if she was like eventually fired or what happened to her. But she wasn't charged with anything like this guy was.
I wonder if in the video they used some like really, really well placed like body cam shots to really change the cinematography for the scene.
So you told me about this other anecdote of a guy who he got caught hooking up with someone he pulled over in a squad car. He got
locked in the back.
He got accidentally locked in the back seat, his pants around the ankles, and had to get another cop to come to the location and let him out of the car.
Yep.
Clownery.
Yep.
Yes, clownery.
We literally live in a clown country.
We do.
Yeah, yeah.
I do not back the blue. I do not back the blue because of this.
Never pick one side. There's no ACAB, no back the blue. Take every instance as it comes and treat them as individual instances. If they did something wrong, they did something wrong.
All cops are boners, apparently. That's what we're learning today. All cops are boners.
The women, too, because there's a lot of stories about women cops banging a lot of the dudes that
yes,
they work with.
There's multiples of those recently, where another one where she sent her nudes to her sergeant or something like that, like her desk sergeant.
All cops are horny.
Yeah.
And the
lady who had sex with the entire precinct and then got a settlement out of it.
Claimed that she was coerced.
Yeah.
Non-consensually.
I don't believe that. But.
She had sex with 5 members of her precinct and then settled for like several thousand, like $80,000 or something out of court. You know, I can't with this stuff. And then they wonder why people have a problem with the cops these days, right?
Well, it's not because of this, but it should be.
It's because they're horny.
I don't know. It's kind of becoming like a tally. Like every time we see these disgusting stories of like the female teachers with students, and you're just like, why do these numbers keep piling up?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, why are these like? Back in the day, it was like, you know what it is? Actually, the cops are being reprimanded for excessive use of force, and they're and now they're like. All their energy is going towards this stuff because they can't actually beat suspects anymore. That's what it is.
That's an interesting theory.
It's displaced aggression.
Well, you see more stories about OnlyFans related scandals in teaching.
500K.
A lot of teachers.
500K is what she settled with.
Is he going to say that this is because he wasn't making enough money on his salary from the?
For the guy, he's like, I just wanted to do it. I don't care. The girl, the women will make the. See, it's the women that always, what we were talking about the other day. Like, if you want to do bad things, don't pretend like it's for a good cause. If you want to be a menace, but don't pretend like you're doing it for some virtuous reason. If you want to be,
or don't put it on the internet for everyone to see.
If you want to be officer slutty, that's fine, but don't pretend like you're doing it for because you're not getting paid enough.
Officer slutty.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. But I think the female teachers ones are far more. Are just as disconcerting, if not more so.
Right, because they always somehow involve the students in it.
There was the one recently where like the 2 teachers got caught, and it's just like, how many of these have been racked up in just the last couple of years?
And I maintain that they deserve to be fired for these things.
Tax dollars at work. Tax dollars at work. Well, I mean, in this case, especially because he's in uniform and he's doing it. But the other story that we talked about before is just as good of an example as to why it limits your ability to actually hold authority over anyone else.
Of course. And also, I've said before about the teachers, there is a maybe not stated explicitly, but there is a morality clause where if parents decide that they don't want you around their children for whatever reason, the way that you conduct yourself in your quote unquote private life that you're broadcasting to millions of people on the internet, that they have a right to do so. Thank you. And that goes the same for the cops. If you're in a position of authority over the public.
Well, especially for the cops, like I'm no lawyer, but I imagine like you're in court and you're being questioned by a defense attorney, and they're like, speaks to your credibility. Like, is this what you do in your free time? And like,
right, it should discredit that person.
I'm not a lawyer, so all right, let's go ahead and move on then, shall we? What do we like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Phil, you decide.
Cringy.
Actually, we have 2 cringes.
Oh, let's do cringe cute.
Cringe sandwich.
Yeah.
So
Want a cringe sandwich? So it's gonna be cringe cute cringe.
Yeah.
Cringe cute cringe.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Ballsy.
First things first. Who is this person again? I didn't know this person.
Her name is Woe Vicky.
Okay.
Have you heard of this person
I have
before?
not.
You'll have to let.
I'm
everybody know.
surprised.
This is an adventure.
She just came out as a Trump supporter.
What's up, y'all? Jesus 2024. MAGA. Period. Freak Joe Biden. We're not voting for Joe Biden. Freak Barack Obama. Period.
It's the us for me.
Period.
You know, well, Vic, you heard him.
Don't sit.
Hey, Trump 2024, baby.
That necklace rules, though.
All right. Look, I'm here for the meme. Absolutely. I'm thankful that I don't consider myself a MAGA guy because that would be
Then you'd be
embarrassing.
associated with that.
Yeah, that would be embarrassing. But I mean, I'm gonna vote for Trump in the fall, definitely. But
I mean, the just made me think that she was reading from a script. She's
basically the off-brand bad baby.
Yes.
Yeah, which is what conservatives do. They're just like, let's get a Kmart version of someone that's already done something, and then slap an American flag on it and put MAG on it, and then we'll call it conservative.
And then they say, I always like the cut of their jib. I always liked that guy.
I always loved Woe Vicky.
Yeah.
I always knew she was based.
Oh God.
All right, let's do some cute of the day here, guys. This one's from Big Dave. Asking for prayers. It says asking for prayers from Mary Archived and an enthusiastic let's go from our boy Brett, or for our boy Frankie. He's not feeling well, barely walking, loss of appetite, and he has some tremors. Taking to the vet again tomorrow. Well, hopefully that Frankie feels better. And
Get well soon, Frankie.
And Frankie looks like an angel there.
Sweet.
Aww. Well, we will all pray for Frankie.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Let's do one more here. All right. Did we do this one yesterday? Yeah, we did. Yeah, because it was already full screen.
Yeah.
All right. And that one. We got this one here. Okay. This is from Ellen Thompson. My crazy puppy. Her name is Jackie Ann Legs. Her favorite ball, a squeaky.
Oh.
No.
It's a cute pup. No. All right. Guys, if you want to submit, I saw somebody the other day, somebody let me one today. We did one with frogs recently, right?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody said that we didn't do it.
They're toads. They're toads.
Okay, said that we didn't do it. I think we did.
We did.
Okay. All right.
I said frogs are cute.
Yeah.
I mean toads. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're toads.
There was, they're all over out here. Frogs, there's all sorts of them out here, like at the castle, especially at night. All right, let's go back to, we've got one more cringe of the day. This one's actually just as bad, sadly. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be worse than Vicky.
Okay, here we go. There's not. I love it when something's so bad it doesn't even have like a post with it. It's just the video.
Doesn't need any explanation.
Do that dick, hang low. If it do, I want some more. Can you shove it in my guts? Can I put it in my throat? Can I see it while you?
I'm about to get copyrighted. I don't want to get copyrighted for this shit.
Yeah, you probably.
Think I wanna know. Do your dick hang low? Do that dick hang low? If it do,
I can't watch anymore. I can't. That's all I got.
So I noticed earlier in the chat, someone said when we were talking about, I forget what it was, like 2 stories ago. They're just like, oh, I can't have my kids watch this one. Now you really can't have the kids watch this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
She looked like a walking yeast infection.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on then, shall we? All right, literally, it's like we should be laughing at that one. I'm like, yeah, I can't do this today. Let's talk about Amanda Stenberg because it's gonna get worse.
Yes, Amanda Stenberg, the lead actress in The Acolyte, the Star Wars show that everyone hates and it sucks. She has just made a huge mistake, maybe the biggest mistake of her career, and I don't think, honestly, that Star Wars will recover from this one. She decided that it was time to clap back at all of the haters, all of the racist Star Wars fans, with her own original song and music video and choreography.
Okay, let's go ahead and watch this video.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Brett.
That's worse than the People's Joker.
Maybe, yeah.
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 I don't know. At least, to be honest with you, the People's Joker is really bad, and at least that legitimately did sound good. Like her voice was pleasing. The way that she rapped was like she had decent flow. Like it was reasonably presented, even though the content was bad. The Joker's way worse.
Okay,
Like
I'll grant you that, but
way worse.
You know, if we're talking about Disney blunders and Disney continuously being sabotaged by their own talent, would you say that
there's a 220s that are begging us to turn it off? W Nanner says,
Sorry.
"Turn it off, I'm dying." And username we shall not mention says, "Turn this shit off."
Yes. Sorry about that again.
I
But
guess-
do you guys think that this is worse than what Rachel Zegler did?
I think Rachel Zegler is a better performer than Amanda Stenberg.
Yeah, I mean, at least you can say for Rachel Zegler, she has the talent to perhaps back up how annoying she is. Amanda is not a good actress.
There's a fair point here that she's not necessarily referring directly to the Acolyte. She's talking more about the 2018 interview in this and general issues with racism. But the timing,
Are we really going to give her the benefit of the doubt?
No, because if you look at
she posted this and she said in the caption, "Happy Juneteenth, and to those who are flooding me with intolerable racism. Since it took me 72 hours on my laptop to make this song and video, you got 72 hours to respond, and I expect choreo." And her co-star on The Acolyte, Daphne Keane, who I call the alien mullet girl, commented, "Wokalite unite."
So obviously they have no problem with making it about this. This is again my problem with things where you get paid up front, where the best path forward for actors would be to minimize the amount of antagonism you offer towards the fans, but they don't want to do that. Also,
that should be in your contract.
The new generation of actors don't have that type of look. I get it in a way. You're subjected to more of public opinion than you ever were in previous generations, where maybe you got some bad reviews from the critics, but you didn't hear constantly about how your performances were being judged. But there is a markedly different approach from actors of the past who understood that there was a certain level of professionalism that was seen in not responding to those who had something negative to say. And if we were to take this as something that's about the Acolyte, none of the critiques that I've seen from even the most ardent haters of this show has been about the race of her character. It's that she doesn't know how to act, and she acts the exact same in every scene, no matter how much emotion she's supposed to be portraying.
And that it looks terrible, and that the script is terrible, and Leslie Headland is obnoxious.
There's far more discourse about the writing of the show and far less about her.
And your entry into a franchise of this size and cultural value should not be immediately talking about how there needs to be a space for black nerds.
The idea that you have to, as soon as you're given access to cultural property, essentially, that you have to deconstruct it and try to create it in a I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, in a different light that is opposed to or doesn't recognize the initial things about the story, the initial things that drew people to it. That's a bad thing. It's literally like cultural vandalism.
If Disney had any sense, I think she would be fired on the spot for this behavior. Because, I mean, this should be in contracts now with the level of entitlement shown by people like Rachel Zegler, shown by Amanda Stenberg and countless others. They need to start protecting themselves against their stupidity.
Given the marketing that's gone on now, if this was to happen in the midst of like another show like The Acolyte, which had no buzz whatsoever, despite the fact that people, Andor, that people actually liked but had no buzz whatsoever, it's like, what the hell is this? But all of the marketing for this show has been done in this vein. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were excited about this being made or helped with it.
Well, on Kenobi, Moses Ingram kind of pulled the same racism card, but on a much smaller scale, because she was not a well-liked character in the show because her acting sucked. Once again, we're seeing the same story play out again. And it's just something you never needed to draw attention to, that you got like one nasty DM, you decide to post it on your Instagram.
I mean, even
to
if you
cry about racism. Just don't draw attention to yourself. Say, you know, I am excited to be a part of this, and if you like it, I really appreciate your support. Leave it at that.
Yes.
But they're such narcissists, they can't even help themselves.
There's also a utopian view of the world where they believe they get to be part of a property this big and not get any pushback at all because they believe that there's this perfect existence that's just out of reach, right?
She 100%, this person believes she's the best thing that ever happened to Star Wars. And if you tell her anything otherwise,
I don't know if I believe
you're a bigot.
What I believe is that she believes that even if you don't like her, you shouldn't say negative things because in a perfect world, be kind. But that's not the way art is critiqued in the world today. And in the past, actors didn't have instant access to all of the opinions people had of them. I don't believe for a second that actors were less narcissistic back in the day. Like older actors now might stay out of these types of discussions just because they're not as tech literate. But I fully believe that 50 years ago, if Instagram and Twitter existed, there would have been just as much stupidity online.
Perhaps. Okay.
I don't doubt that for a second.
That doesn't mean we can't hold her accountable for her own behavior.
No, of course. Absolutely. But again, I think that they believe that there should be a world where this just shouldn't happen. Where like, okay, we do a podcast that has like 119,000 followers. And even somebody on a show of that size will get pushback and people that don't like them. You're telling me that you get to be part of Star Wars, something that's world renowned, and you're going to see nothing but positivity? I'm sorry, that's just not the way the world works.
It's childish entitlement.
There is, to be able to make a good amount of money, make a good living on something that has worldwide recognition, it's kind of your job to take the good comments and again, she doesn't even have to make a better show. All she has to do is say, look, there's plenty of people, if you look at her Instagram, that love this. Go and appreciate that.
Because she's in an echo chamber where she believes there are the good guys and there are the bad guys. Coincidentally, the bad guys in her narrative are actual Star Wars fans who just don't like what Disney has done to the franchise. But you can cast them as racist, bigoted, sexist, misogynist, homophobic trolls.
So you know what's the striking thing about this is not a new story, right? This particular story is, but it's not a new. We've heard these types of stories coming out of Hollywood for multiple years now, and they're essentially just now getting to the point where it seems like there's enough Americans that are kind of sick of it, where it's starting to really show in box office numbers and in turnout and stuff like that, and at the same time, it's still going to take probably another 10 years before the influence from these people is taken out of these businesses unless these businesses make a significant change, like a 180 change, because they've got, and even if they do, it's got at least 3 years because they got stuff in production that they're not going to just throw away. You know what I mean?
I think this is going to get worse.
I think you're probably right.
What's going to happen is the actors that have a more magnanimous approach will die out and retire, and the next generation of actors will all be this level of activism.
This behavior is getting rewarded. They're allowed to throw their toys out of the pram. And Disney is like actually going to back them for behaving this way because it's not about profit anymore. It's not about catering to the fans anymore.
Also, it
is about throwing them under the bus. And like, this is literally worse than Colleen Ballinger's stupid ukulele apology video. It's worse than that. But what I will give her is it's like more entertaining than the 20 minutes of garbage that we reviewed this morning.
All I picture is like as this video ends, somebody goes, "Ma'am, this is a Wendy's drive-thru."
This is the most emotion I've ever seen her express.
Yes, look at her Instagram. Like if she could show this level of emotion on her, like on the show, you know, in some of these stills.
Where is your range?
Yeah. There was a line in the new episode. She goes, "I can't believe my sister is Jedi scum."
Like, is it Xanax Wars?
Yes, it really is Xanax Wars. It really is. It's kind of like OSHA on the happiest day of her life. OSHA on the saddest day of her life.
Yeah.
That's what
it's just, you cannot replace an actual talented actor, which is why I give Rachel Zegler some slack. Because if you see her in the Hunger Games prequel, she's great at singing, and she is at least good at acting.
She emotes in that movie.
She can back up her terrible attitude with at least a performance.
I give her less slack though, because she tied her criticisms directly to the franchise. This is not that. This doesn't even mention the
What
Acolyte.
she did received a lot more negative attention than this is going to, for good reasons. But I feel like this is the same exact level of childish entitlement that we keep seeing over and over again, and they never learn their lesson.
We don't even,
and they will only learn their lesson if Disney, her employer, reprimands her in a real way. They should fire her on the spot.
And that's not even a guarantee that it's actually going to remedy anything, because she might get picked up by someone else that says, no, you were right, and then she'll be like, oh, see, they were, you know, It's not a short problem or a short time horizon problem. This is a big problem that's going to be around for a while.
And once again, look at the way they treated Gina Carano.
Yep.
And you compare that to this situation, really?
This will never go away. Look, the other thing here is, like, take race out of it. You're part of the elite class of Hollywood celebrity. The people you're talking about are the middle class and the working class and the people. It's why I always complain about mean tweets. Mean tweets. You're supposed to let them take the piss out of the celebrities, because, like court jesters that are allowed to mock the king, you're supposed to be able to take jabs at celebrities because they are of a higher social status than you. They're the ones who always complain about punching down.
We got a 20 from Ashton Stellies. I hope I said that right. Heyo, celebrating a very sweet victory versus the feds and saved my job that they have tried to screw me out of for the past 3 years. Perfect timing for my birthday next week. Can I get an oorah?
Hoorah.
There you go.
Nice job.
Congrats. Like it's very hard for a dude who's drowning because of inflation and can't afford food to feel any amount of empathy for somebody complaining about this, who can go out in the middle of the day and make a music video because people said mean things about her on the internet.
It's like, how is cyberbullying real? Just close your eyes, turn off notifications, put your phone in a lockbox, do what you need to do, right? You can escape the negativity and the negative reviews and any troll comments you're getting anytime you want. It's up to you how you respond to it. You already got your check. You did your job. You got your check. Enjoy the money and move on. And maybe, just maybe, if you can bring yourself to read and listen to the critiques, the valid critiques that are being sent your way, try to improve upon what you do the next time.
My critique would be that she should show emotion, if she can figure that out.
Well, Amanda, if you're listening, there's your critique.
Yes.
Try harder. Shane H. Wilder said, happy Thursday, Brett, Mary, and Commander Phil. Who needs a male rage retreat when I can just jam to ATR? Only real retreat I've been on is a parish one. We'll get into that later.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy. DCNC said, is hating Metallica in 2024 for killing Napster overkill?
What?
Did Metallica kill Napster?
I don't know that they killed Napster, but there was a lot of beef between them. I'm not sure what the actual outcome was, but Metallica made us think about Napster. Yes, absolutely. So.
Shane H. Wilder said, maybe DCNC, but hating them for Saint Anger is fine. John Baird said, it's effing cold. Freezing is freezing. Hi.
Well, I mean, unless you're in the UK. It's like 78 degrees and you're in the middle of a heat wave.
Yeah, I hear they're complaining about the heat wave, and like it's like not even 80 degrees. It's like, you're kidding me.
You know what we should start doing with all the climate change, global warming? We should be selling air conditioners in the UK.
No, they don't have air conditioning license over there.
Got a license for that.
Brown Bear said a male rage retreat just sounds like dudes camping in the woods. You'll wish it was that when you see
Let's do
reality.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, are they using a Mad Catz controller this time?
They should. You know what they should use?
2.0?
They should use like a Nintendo Power Glove to control everything.
Use a Wii controller next time, actually. swing it around on your wrist.
It goes through the window and it all implodes. All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back to the fact. Let's talk about male rage not rituals. We talked about female rage rituals.
Right.
It's time to talk about male rage retreats.
Somewhat recently, we talked about how female rage is having a cultural moment. And we found out that female rage rituals are the premier wellness trend for wealthy white women. But shockingly, in a shocking new development, men are paying thousands of dollars as well to go on male rage retreats.
They're not men.
These dudes paid over $3,000 to attend a 4-day retreat in Montana where they, quote, unleash their primal power, take responsibilities for their lives, and rekindle the connection with their true self.
At what point in this does the crypto scam come in? Like at what point
This is a cult.
At what point does the guy say, and for just $29.95 you can, you can increase your value as a high status male?
Yeah, this says this is what happens when a man finally lets go of the pain he's been carrying and embraces his true power. Let's take a look at the video, shall we?
Here we go, guys. Nope, not getting copyrighted from this one too.
They're like holding him while he screams into the grass.
Frankly, it should be at a higher frame rate.
It's
screaming.
It's so ridiculous.
Dry heaving. They're holding him up in the air.
Guys. Don't do this stuff.
It looks like they're doing acting exercises here, but
this is no different than like people that like dance around at church.
They should do the one where the guy puts his arm around the girl and he's explaining things to her.
yeah, so that's a look into what a male rage retreat entails.
It's annoying.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to ascertain who this person is that runs the male rage retreat, but he did publish a response video to the backlash.
Here we go. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Let's hear his explanations.
The
he looks like a cult leader.
Oh boy, the shadow is being revealed. This is one
It's
of my
all
favorite
being
spaces to play in, to
exposed.
go into the underworld, into the lower world, and to see and take the pulse of where we are at individually and collectively. Because the shadow is quite large right now amongst the men. Right now we are trending on Twitter at about 3 million. We are here on Instagram, I don't know, maybe about 100,000 coming up to that. And the comments, they are the same thing over and over and over again. So tonight I am going live with my brother Sean Graves. We're going to jump on and just jam out about this, of where people are being provoked by the content being posted, about men emotionally expressing themselves. And beyond whatever you think, looking beyond the words and beyond the video into the depth of how it is important for all of us to address our suffering, for us to address our inner demons, our fears, our limitations. And you know, over here, we do not fight fire with fire. We do not fight violence with violence. We fight it with compassionate, fierce love. And that's what we are going to talk about tonight. And right now, there is a massive opportunity. This wouldn't be coming up if there wasn't an opportunity. Shadows equal opportunities. Wherever people are being triggered, wherever you are being triggered in your life, it's an opportunity to look at a part of yourself to heal. And this is where we're at, and I'm very excited to go deeper into this topic, because this really plays into how it is we evolve into the next octave, to the next level of
the cult
what
language
we can
is
actually create
insane.
here on Earth and within ourselves. And there's
anyone that
so much
tells you about
available to us.
vibrations is selling you something that's just kinetic energy, and we know that stuff very, very well.
He has cult leader physiognomy.
Yes, he
we got a
does.
20 from Dubby Nanners. He said, Phil, I'm going to say what you're thinking and what we are all thinking. Gay! And that was the resounding response from men.
He's got like side-by-side pictures of Elon Musk and Tony Robinson.
I have a bunch of responses, mostly from men, about the male rage retreat. One said, these primal camps are cringe, but some of the most emotional and cathartic moments I've had were talking with other men around a campfire at night while camping. Men need campfires. Another one said, the existence of these retreats indicates a genuine need for masculine fulfillment. The problem is that men who behave this way, who start performing their emotions like hysterical women, aren't liberating themselves because men aren't liberated from the burden of pain. Do we get another 20?
Yep.
Kilo Bravo said, I hate when they use these metaphysical pseudoscientific buzzwords. How do you know someone is full of shit?
It's not even just metaphysical. It's not just pseudoscientific. It's designed to isolate you as a member of the group so that you're speaking the language of only those who identify as members of that group.
I mean, I think the idea that men are emotionally wired the same way as women is far more toxic than whatever you believe toxic masculinity to be.
100%.
And although I couldn't find this man's page or what company he runs, I see there are several that are doing exactly the same thing and have been for years. And GQ published an article about this back in 2018, interviewing the founder of Everyman, a community of men who come together to explore the frontier of human emotion and connection, holding their first ever retreat back in 2018. They said, in case you haven't been paying attention to the year that's been, male angst is turning into toxic masculinity, and it's taking a toll on guys themselves, their loved ones, and on society at large. Why are men so shitty at dealing with stress? They asked. They said, men are hurting, and the product of their pain is feeding and fueling the news every day, making it virtually impossible to ignore. Between male suicide rates climbing, school shootings continuing to unfurl, and the landscape of masculinity, thank you, undergoing its most drastic change in history, albeit for the better, men are hurting themselves and they're hurting others, but they're not getting the help they need, says Dan Doty, who founded Everyman. They call Everyman a grassroots movement for men-only camps, encouraging guys to get raw and vulnerable with their emotions. These initiatives are giving men a space to blow off some steam and ditch the macho pride our culture has historically told males to shoulder. It's not a big bro fest. And they said men need to talk to each other and not just bullshit locker room talk about sports and sex. The disconnect here comes in when you assume that men express their emotions the same way that women express their emotions. And usually when they're going on a male rage retreat, it's not called a male rage retreat.
It's hanging out with the bros.
Modern feminism treats men like broken women.
Basically,
and that's the way, and society behaves the way that modern feminism demands.
And conversely treats women like broken men, and therefore we all just become agender blobs.
It doesn't. Essentially, the way that women are treated is not to. They should not be the apex of femininity. They should try to be the president and the CEO. And men are supposed to open up and share their feelings. They're telling men to be women. Is essentially the thing. Act like women. Express yourself like women. There's no reason to believe that men would express themselves the same way women do. Men are going to work best, and they're going to feel most accomplished when they're working together with other men trying to do things, whether that be building stuff or working on projects together. That kind of stuff is where men bond, and that's when you'll get some of the discussion about feelings and stuff. But it'll be the way that men discuss that stuff, and it will help men because it will be in a context in which men are comfortable. This whole idea that you have women telling men or feminized men telling men how they should behave is ridiculous, and we're seeing the negative effects in society.
They're telling you to go to therapy to talk about it when we understand that that's just not the way that most men would feel comfortable talking about these types of things.
Yeah, one tweet said men will pay over $3,000 to unleash their primal power and instead of going to therapy, when in reality neither of these things are actual solutions. And by the way, toxic masculinity is not to blame for any of those things they listed: school shootings or any like mass acts of violence that are usually committed by people with pre-existing mental health disorders like schizophrenia, or they're being groomed by the feds, but we're not going to get into that much. But I think women just at large need to accept that they don't understand men and they don't understand the male experience, and likewise men should accept that they don't understand women and will not understand the female experience from firsthand experience.
Men have always been kind of comfortable with that. Men have been able to say, I don't understand women. Men have said women are crazy. We don't understand women. That has been normal for men for ages. The fact that there are people out there that are asserting that as a woman you could understand what it's like to be a man, or as a man you could understand what it's like to be a woman, those are the people that are actually kind of nuts.
Yeah, I think this is a symptom of the war on male spaces, essentially.
I mean, and
you know,
homogenization between the sexes, thinking that there's a one-size-fits-all solution to
everything
any of these
has to be co-ed now.
Yes.
Because it was seen as exclusionary and oppressive for men to have spaces with each other. But women don't understand what men do when women aren't around. And that is okay. It's, you don't have to assume that something sinister is happening just because you aren't welcome there.
Yeah, and just because you're excluded doesn't mean, like, the fact that you're excluded is not an invitation for you to storm in and demand they change it to the way that you like it.
Right, exactly. I mean, they like to do things, it seems, that are like activities together. But for women, when we hang out, it doesn't really matter where we are or what we're doing. We're just going to be doing the same thing anyway, which is talking.
Yeah.
And we're going to be talking about people and ourselves and our feelings, and interpersonal dynamics are intensely interesting to us. But men will just like go hunting together, or they'll go camping together, or whatever.
Skating for 25 years means that I've had many of the most important conversations with my friends while out watching each other do tricks on rails and ledges. Very rarely does that conversation just ever happen sitting around in a living room. It does sometimes, you know, or like if you're on tour and you're actually going from city to city, you're all traveling together in a van or something like that, or you're staying at the same, you're crashing at the same house while you're doing that. That's all, but it's all part of the same activity, right? It's not like, hey man, you want to get together and talk?
You need that medium.
There needs
for
to
it
be something
happen.
that makes it happen.
Right,
There's
exactly.
a $20 there.
Kilo Bravo said, men should feel safe talking with bros and should also embrace their inner strength. In the service, I tell my boys that manning up is about dealing with your feelings in a disciplined and appropriate way. Hate this BS.
And again, this is all, like, the language of that should tell you everything about what's going on here, which is that you're being sold into something that's very cult-like in its mentality. The language that's exclusive to the group so that they feel that they have special knowledge that other people don't understand. It's designed to isolate you from people outside of the group so that you buy into it further.
Yeah, and I think that this is just as dumb as the female rage retreats, for the record.
Yeah.
Those didn't make sense to me because obviously anger is not a dominant emotion for women. Men are generally going to experience more anger and, you know, keep more things bottled up. So I understand that they have more of a need to express it. This is not the way. I'm pretty sure everyone is on the same page that this is not the way.
It's 20.
Carnell said, I myself have that about going on a male rage retreat this summer. It's called the Destroy All Enemies Tour. I hear there will be some serious screamers at this retreat.
Sick. It's going to be so sick.
But I don't think the concept of a retreat in general is inherently bad. But there needs to be a purpose for it outside of just self-indulgent whining and crying and screaming. It's like a male retreat for religious purposes, for instance.
That could be too, but I mean, yeah, that makes sense, you know. But also, like, when dudes decide they're gonna go on a hunting trip or like trips into the mountains, camping, fishing trips, like those kind of things are dude time.
The boundary
dudes
waters,
are being, and you know, dudes are doing stuff with their friends, and it's like, you know, whatever it may be, but there's all kinds of stuff that men do and get together to do, and that takes the place of these essentially feminized male retreats. These feminized talk about your feelings male retreats. It's all just mumbo jumbo garbage.
Yep.
And this is, I swear, when women see shit like this, it makes them more and more hysterical. I can feel it inside me. I'm becoming hymerical when I see men act like this.
Doesn't that give people the ick? I imagine
it gives me the ick. Hardcore ick.
Yeah.
And when women en masse are experiencing the ick, we have a fertility crisis on our hands. This is going to destroy society.
I love it.
Wait, so right
women
here,
en masse get the ick. Thanks, homie. You just killed the future.
You killed our boner.
It's like the face of the man who destroyed society.
Exactly.
He does have cult leader physiognomy. Like
he's got a Jared Leto picture up somewhere.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Red flags all around.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Icy Wells said, do man stuff? Phil, I'll have you know, I spent my day off yesterday repairing a radial arm saw. Google it for $13.
There you go.
This is man stuff, apparently.
I mean,
I'm
yes,
learning
repairing
things today.
Repairing things is man stuff.
Shane H. Wilder said, Brett's face when Mary said other holes. Priceless. DCNC said, rage, sports, paintball, left lane on the motorway. Oh, this is all examples of man stuff. John Barrett said, can Phil stop talking communist libertarian BS?
No. Shut up.
I don't think communism and libertarian really go together. So
I
that's
think
confusing.
he probably doesn't know what he's talking about.
Andrew Jacobs said, rest in peace, Mr. Donald Sutherland.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
John Barrett said, love you, Phil. No homo.
Love you too, man.
The Magna Defender said, it's 2024 and Bob Iger still blames his failures on a 4-year cold. I'm sorry, but that crisis is 100% over. Over 95% of society is back to normal. If you can't face reality, you're sharp as President Biden.
There was more than a few people when I was flying the other day with masks on. So I'm not shocked.
They exist.
But it's, whatever.
You gotta think about how mentally disturbed they must be. You almost feel bad for them. But
yeah.
If they were tyrannical toward other people and yelling at other people for breathing.
Yes.
I don't really.
They're not telling me what to do, so I guess I don't care. But I did, however, see one where a guy was traveling with his girlfriend and he was wearing the mask and she wasn't, and I was like, that's just undignified.
And you were like, I just got the ick.
Yeah,
Somehow a straight man can also get the ick.
Yes.
Shane H. Wilder said, cancer caused by racism. What's next? Patriarchy causes blood clots? Homophobia causes appendicitis?
Luckily, that show was canceled last year,
God.
so it's sad because that show starred Ryan Eggold, who was one of the standouts from The Blacklist. He played the lead character's husband, who turned out to be a spy, and he was actually really, really good in this awesome role. And then that show is just weird. Yeah.
Well, they showed this trailer for the show in that thread where the first line he delivers is if you put. What did he say? If you put billing before patient care, you're fired.
Yeah, it's written by people who to be fair, the American healthcare system is awful. But to be fair, a show written by people who have never started a business in their life.
Yeah, Pat the plumber said Hollywood been making people dumber since day one.
I want to see the videos of people who go to their who get diagnosed with some terminal illness and they're like, was it the racism that did? Sir, you've been smoking for 50 years. Racism didn't cause your lung cancer.
It was the
Are you sure?
Wyatt Kaldenberg said this is dangerous. They're saying white people are causing cancer in non-whites. Neither Hitler nor the super nut Julius Streicher were crazy enough to say the Jews caused cancer in Germans. Insane.
We live in stupid times.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Stefan Buttle said fried chicken equals free radicals equals cancer.
Okay.
Okay, it's all starting to make sense to me now. Virtual Reviews said if racism can cause cancer, then the people inflaming race relations should be to blame.
Yeah, that's
so the people who are writing that script are to blame.
It's their fault.
Drewish AF said, I thought male rage retreats were just mass shootings. Oh.
No.
Okay. Prince Namor said, Jaws turned 49 years old today. The movie opened in U.S. theaters on June 20th, 1975. This was no boating accident. Yeah, boy.
Better close the beaches. Okay, let us move on.
We got
more.
Yeah, we really wanted to talk about this yesterday, but ran out of time, and I'm really excited to talk about a widely misunderstood sport. It's called hobbyhorsing. And this originally blew up in Finland. There are tons of young women in Finland who are obsessed with hobbyhorsing, and now it's gaining international attention after they've posted some TikToks trying to prove that this is a real sport. To explain, this is basically, it's basically horse riding. It's basically horseback riding, but you take out the horse and you replace it with a toy horse on a stick. It's basically Quidditch, and I gotta say, they do some impressive jumps.
There's one in there that's legit impressive. Okay, I'm not gonna pretend it wasn't. You can call the sport silly. Pretty much everything is. Jumping and doing rails on a skateboard or on a bike or on skates or on a scooter is all something that people who don't do it look at as maybe impressive, but ultimately like they look at it and say, "What's the point?" They don't understand it. I don't understand this. But whatever.
We got a 20 real quick. Joy Westbrook said, yep, the group of mechanics I do pant repairs for have weekend projects they work on. It is fascinating to watch, honestly. If something is on their mind, they throw it to the group for a simple solution, and it works.
There you go.
Yeah.
So should we watch this first video?
Yeah, this TikTok horse girl who competes in hobby horsing, slamming critics who tell her that riding a fake horse is not a real sport.
Okay.
Let's take a look.
Again, stop copyright music.
Here she is.
Wait, what does it say? Hobby horsing is not a sport. It's easy and everyone can do that. Oh yeah, this is me after my dressage routine. I was passing out, couldn't breathe and almost throwing up, dizzy, shaking, my whole body burning in pain. Well, that sounds like you're not doing enough cardio.
Isn't drinking enough water either.
This is her like dry heaving on the floor.
Hey.
Thank you. Looks intense.
It does. Look, I can appreciate anybody pushing themselves to their physical limit. I guess, like, who am I to complain about how they get there?
I guess this is like the way that women are jumping into fitness. You know, this is what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then there's another video, not defending hobby horse girls, but you have to admit this is absurd.
This is. Okay, let's watch this one. Girls Vertical is legit.
That's insane.
Girls Vertical is legit.
And they said they study real horse jumps to model their movements after them.
Cleared it.
It's definitely impressive, but isn't this already a sport? Track and field.
Track and field.
That's already a sport.
Yes.
So I don't know why you need to have the horse on a stick to do that. But impressive nonetheless. Good for her. So obviously hobby horsing is a sport or activity that gets criticized and ridiculed quite often because it looks ridiculous.
It reminds me of when we talked about real world Quidditch.
Yeah.
Where they do the same thing, where they run around on broomsticks and play Quidditch on the ground.
Right. It looks ridiculous, and that's why it gets ridiculed. But some people are saying that ridicule actually comes from misogyny, because it's mostly horse girls who are interested in hobby horsing. One person responded to this and said, I didn't even know this was something that needed defending. Boys have tons of nerdy hobbies. I say let girls have their own things they enjoy that aren't harmful.
Look,
fair enough.
I'm kind of there. Like, I look at something like this and it's just silly enough where I'm like, look, if they're having fun, let them do it. Now, if we're like, is there like a world hobby horsing tournament?
Yes.
There is?
Yeah,
okay.
It just happened recently.
Whatever.
That's why it's in the news. Rolling Stone interviewed a hobby horsing influencer about her misunderstood sport. The Finnish Hobby Horse Association acknowledged the public perception, saying, understandably, many of those who have just heard about our hobby are more or less confused. Bafflement and ridicule tend to follow when videos of hobby horse routines go viral online. But in this case, a hobby horse rider shared herself struggling to catch her breath after competing in this year's Slovakia Championships.
I feel like she should have shown more of her routine to show how athletically taxing it was, because it was just like a few seconds of the clip and then she's just panting, so she didn't, like, her editing didn't help her in that regard.
Yeah, they say it looks easy. Honestly, that jump did not look easy. So
it's kind of
credit
like
where
how,
credit is due.
And it's funny because minutia like this exists in all sports. Like, I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin saying that his favorite part of winning WrestleMania 17 was like he'd been out injured with like a broken neck for like a year, and his favorite part of the whole match was how as soon as he was done and he won, he was able to stand up and he wasn't out of breath, because wrestling is an extremely taxing sport for cardio, that there's such a thing as ring shape, which is vastly different than being in general shape, meaning that you can't get in that shape unless you're wrestling every day. So the thing he loved most about the match was that he wasn't out of breath when he was done. So look, it's just a different medium.
But does hobby horsing merit the label of a real sport.
No. Oh, no.
Why no? Why not?
Because it's not a real sport.
But explain your case.
There's judges, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
there are championships.
What are the conditions to make a real sport?
I'm not sure, but if you're saying it's not a real sport,
well,
what conditions is it not meeting?
So as far as actually, all right, so
because chess is a sport, right?
I mean, chess is a game. I don't consider it a sport.
A lot of people think that chess is a sport. I don't know. That's what they claim.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the Olympics.
It's in the Olympics.
Yep.
If it's in the Olympics, I don't know if I can say it's not a sport.
Yep.
I'm not the authority on it, but this has been around for quite a long time. There is a precedent for it. They, in fact, made an entire documentary called Hobby Horse Revolution back in 2017. A funny and moving film about teenagers with growing pains who discover their own voice and talent through riding and grooming toy horses.
Look, grooming toy horses.
They actually they sew together their fake horses.
This is perfect for women. This is perfect for women.
They trade them and mix and match them and personalize them.
This is perfect for women.
I mean, technically, I guess if you going by the definition, yes, it would be a sport.
It's a competition, right? They're competing. It's a sport.
An activity involving physical exertion and skill that's governed by a set of rules or customs and often undertaken competitively. So I guess technically it does qualify as a sport. I don't think that it's a very serious sport. I think that it's tongue in cheek and comical. I mean, and I don't think that we should take them seriously.
To be fair, Americans do tend to have stodgy attitudes towards anything that isn't American sports in general, right? Like, I laughed the other day. I went by a baseball field and saw people playing cricket on a baseball field. I'm like, wow, we really have been conquered, haven't we?
Originally, when I heard about hobby horsing, I thought it was something completely different. I thought that it was horse girls who go around and learn to gallop like real horses.
This video you sent me?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I saw this on TikTok originally. She's learned to run like a horse. You can see her coming down the trail.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
That you do not want to come across that in a forest.
Imagine like your girlfriend's mad at you and then she just
gallops
at you.
No, gallops at you.
Okay,
absolutely
so
terrifying.
Of all, that would never be my girlfriend. If you gallop like a horse, that is a deal breaker.
Imagine her running up on you at nighttime.
Right. God.
Woo! So impressive nonetheless, but I know that they see it as a serious sport, but they also understand why people laugh at them. There's definitely a layer of humor to this activity, said the documentary maker. The hobby horsists themselves see that too. They don't take themselves so seriously. I really love the combination of someone being so joyful and serious about something at the same time, giving their horses names like Haters Gonna Hate. This film sees girls come together to demand respect for the hobby horse. And let's be fair, an activity that lets you delve into your imagination while keeping fit and hanging out with your BFFs really is far less weird than grown men who dress up as My Little Pony. So they're better than the bronies. And for what it's worth, they're not in their dark bedroom scrolling TikTok all day.
Yeah. Like I know the inclination is to laugh at stuff like this, but you're staying in shape. It's a physical activity. You don't take yourself too seriously. Now, if this was the type of thing where they're like, no, this is high art and that would be cringy, right? The idea here is that you found something that you like. It's a little bit out of the ordinary, but back in the day, that was okay. Now, because of the internet, nothing's allowed to just be an obscure subculture anymore. And this is where we go to find obscure subcultures right now. I got no problem with that. Do what you want.
You know what really isn't a sport though? Speed walking.
Is that do people consider that a sport?
Speed walking. I mean, there are speed walking competitions.
I hate it all, but yeah.
And technically the rule is you're not running as long as you have 1 foot on the ground at all times.
Okay.
So they look absolutely ridiculous, but they take it very seriously, and there are actual competitions for this. I recently saw a video of women speed walking against each other, and one of them thought that she made it to the finish line and started slowing down and then just got BTFO'd by the girl in second place.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
But yeah, like that's definitely less of a sport than hobby horsing.
I would love to know like how competitive these events are, because I feel like with like a lot of this stuff, women tend to build community around activities more than men. Men have a more naturally competitive spirit.
Yeah.
And I would love to see like the fight break out where like the two hobby horse riders are going at it. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure it can get pretty intense.
They start like sword fighting with the hobby horse.
You thought that hobby horsing was just horseback riding for poor people.
Yes, that's what I said.
Who can't afford to have their own horse.
Yeah, that's I said. You know,
You said
make
Section 8.
Yes, that's right. The point being that, you know, it looks like that, but you said a lot of these people also ride horses.
Yeah, when they interviewed this hobby horse influencer, she said that around 80% of the hobby horsists also horseback ride.
I wonder if the actual horse gets jealous or like looks confused when she's riding the hobby horse next to the stables.
It's less dangerous, I think, than horseback riding.
I mean, it's not alive.
Yeah, because it's a stick.
It's not going to trample you. It doesn't weigh 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, they said a lot of hobby horse kids are also ride real horses, but most identify more strongly with their hobby horses because of the strength of the community. It's all really empowering.
There's that word.
Community.
It would be a woman's natural inclination to build community around something like this, especially since it's already an obscure subculture to begin with. So you band together to push back against the people who are going to make fun of you, which I'd like to think that we are not, you know, we're poking a little bit of fun, but it doesn't mean that they're not having fun and doing something that's physically active. I can't hate on it too much. I just can't. I know that that's not what the take should be. I feel like the take that 90% of people will have is that it's silly and stupid, but whatever.
I don't know. I was never a horse girl, but I knew horse girls growing up, and I just never liked their vibe. It just wasn't really... I didn't relate to them.
What did you say that
they really love it?
You said that 80% of the...
They said around that, like almost all of them.
Was that a Gallup poll?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
All right, let's go. Let's go to Super Chats.
Okay, the last of my kind said the cop that blanked with whole precinct now works for Amtrak riding trains. The world is a simulation, Brett. Use Pine Sol like bleach on your skate shirts.
Look, I didn't know that my...
Now everyone's giving you laundry advice.
They are, because of
I put you on blast.
Because of something that I don't do anymore. I do not throw my white shirts away. I now use bleach on them.
Shane H. Wilder said, walking yeast infection, LMFAO, Mary is savage today. I'm here for it. Yeah, I couldn't help myself. Shane H. Wilder, this music video is giving me cancer.
Look, I've been reliably
racism.
told by Hollywood that, you know, she was saying a lot of stuff about white people in that video, and I've been reliably told that racism can cause cancer. I'm going to go get tested later.
Yeah. Sorinko Productions said the power of one, the power of two, the power of cringe.
Yeah, basically.
The DJ Foy said making meme fuel to stay relevant is her plan, I guess. Likely in 6 months, she'll be a faded memory of the "did that happen" variety.
Yeah, it'll be. That's the sad thing. The sad state of accelerated internet culture is that in a week this will be a mere joke, and in 6 months from now, we'll be like, remember when she made the twerking video about racism?
Twerk away the pain, twerk away your anger. But you know, you barely remember the Colleen Ballinger ukulele video.
It's and I remember the video. It says that twerking, it releases generational trauma.
That's what she was doing.
Yep.
She was releasing 400 years of white people's shit.
Yep.
Fresh Meat said, "Hey Phil, want to feel old? When you listen to Anima by Tool, don't you want to turn on Windows Media Player's psychedelic visualizations?"
I know what he's talking about.
I do love that song.
I remember like iTunes had something like that.
Yeah.
It was the same thing. Shane H. Wilder said, to quote Phil, lift heavy thing. Legitimately just do something, anything other than this new age crap. It's a cult. They aren't showing manhood.
Yep. I wonder if like the hobby horsers have like different weighted horses or if they all weigh generally the same.
Maybe you should become one of the judges.
That's a good idea.
Where would you find the hobby horser rules? I'm sure the Google.
You would have to move to Finland.
Yeah. Wait, that was in Finland. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Rumbling said, hello all. Male Rage Retreat, is this a new Joe Rogan hunting show about hunting boar with spears?
Could be.
I wish it were.
Have you tried DMT?
Fresh Meat said, Brett, listening at work today on Spotify, the absolute pain you had in your voice when bringing up the fact that there are pronouns in Star Wars was hilarious.
I mean, that's not really pain for me. I'm kind of emotionally ambivalent about Star Wars for the most part. When I heard that, I just went, of course. You know, what do you expect?
Mm-hmm. Shane H. Wilder said, I've been on a Catholic men's retreat, and it was nothing like this. Daily mass, lots of prayer, and built things for the church.
There you go.
Well, there's that recurring theme is that men like to work on things together.
Habitat for Humanity.
Mm-hmm. Big Dave said, Frankie update, possible IDVV, CAT scan, MRI testing in his future. Eating, drinking, and walking on meds. Continued prayers. Crisis actors, I believe you meant, please. Definitely. Yeah. Recover soon, Frankie. Nebik said, clopping into cardio. Yeah. The Manic Mustache said, late as always and apropos to male rage, my sister lost a friend to hobby horsing. Poor girl broke her leg. She was put down doing what she loved. That is horrific.
When they ask me if I want to hobby horse, I say nay.
But, you know, she died doing what she loved. Shane H. Wilder said, wait, they're grooming horses now?
Yep.
Yep.
How can you be hobby horsing when there's a genocide going on in Gaza?
That is legitimately what all of those comments sound like.
Yeah.
Bookstore Thor said hobby horse tournaments are just women's summits.
Yep. Again, it doesn't
not
matter.
Nearly as bad as women's
Doesn't matter
summits.
where you are in the world. Doesn't matter what time of day it is. Somewhere there is a women's summit going on right now.
You should look up like what women's summit is going on today. It's like when you look up Florida Man, it's something new every day. Jonathan Boucher, I think, said, where is the hobby horse racing? I would watch and bet on that.
The fact that it's in Finland actually makes me think of something. Like, there's half the year where it's dark for like 2/3 of the day or 3/4 of the day. So like maybe that's why they're like
losing it a little bit.
I mean, it's a little wacky, but also like you can do hobby horsing inside.
True,
you know?
true. That's a good point. They're like drug testing all of these like 13-year-old girls.
I just Googled, well, yeah, you gotta check for
steroids.
Steroids, EPO. Women's event, June 20th, 2024. Career transitioning, chart a path, 6 to 8. June Women's Business Networking Breakfast, 8:15 to 10 a.m. June Women's Business Networking Breakfast at a different location. There's all sorts of them here.
Not just one.
More women's
multiple.
bike ride in at Cabin John. Embrace Women's Entrepreneur Networking Summit. Sterling Women's Group. They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're everywhere.
You just got back from a women's summit,
Exactly.
so you would know.
Exactly.
Pickle for Sanity said, we can all agree that competitive hog calling is the greatest sport of all time. Is that a thing?
I have no idea.
Okay, they're calling hogs. Jay's Senpai said, I'm opening a rage hobby horse retreat. Women can gallop and scream their stress away.
Honestly, profit.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds more productive than banging sticks on the ground. The Halfrican said, being better than the bronies isn't saying much. I know.
Set the
but-
bar high.
Yeah. Pop Culture Junkie said, gender communication differences. Men talk hierarchically. Can you top this? Women talk collectively. I have an outfit just like that. Lesson learned, I don't talk hierarchically to women.
Good job saying hierarchically correctly twice in a row.
3 times, I think.
3 times.
I'm not surprised. You're literate.
Yes.
I'm not sure I totally understand the point, but I would like to hear more. I want to know more examples how men talk hierarchically.
Men will be like, "Oh, dude, did you see that I did this? That's nothing. I did this." So it's impressing each other who has the more impressive story. And it's not always like good relationships are like you can take that stuff in stride, and it's not too much like
A pissing contest.
Yeah,
You'll always see the people complaining, like everybody's got that friend who always has to have the story that tops yours. It's like, oh man, I had such a bad day at work. Really? You won't believe what happened to me.
Healthy relationships, a dude can say something, someone might respond with, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And it might be a little bit, but it's a give and take. There are times where you will have the one where you have a story that is more impressive and blah, blah, blah. You know, there are other times for someone else. So it's a very much a give and take, similar to the way that like animals play, right? So like if you have like a rat that's bigger than another rat, if the big rat is always making the other pinning the smaller rat, the smaller rat will stop playing. So like you have it's very give and take. It's a dance that kind of happens. So.
Well, there's a stereotype which I believe is probably true about women getting around to complain about their husbands and sometimes driving each other to initiate divorces. But in the extreme cases, they get around and they complain about their husbands, you know, just all sorts of different ways that they're dissatisfied in their marriages. Do you think men do that when they talk about the old ball and chain, that type of thing?
No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Because there is a stereotype of you know, the ball and chain.
I mean, the women initiate most of the divorces anyways. So, I mean, we can talk about the reasons why that is. But if women are...
But as far as how men and women talk amongst each other...
I don't think so. Unless she's particularly bad. Like,
there's a lot of the culture. There's a lot of truth to the culture around the idea of like, you know, happy wife, happy life. And the guy will just kind of take it. You know, and they'll just see it as a quirk of the relationship. And without the men to kind of talk them into a rage about it, they will, you know, men will take a lot.
Kind of grin and bear it, yeah. Especially if like, if you're essentially like, if you're busting your hump to make your wife or your whatever happy, but at the same time, she isn't... If she's appreciative of it, if she acknowledges it, then a guy will like go do tons and tons. If she's like, I know I'm difficult, but I really appreciate you and you're good, and he gets the recognition for doing it. Dudes will go through an enormous amount of pain if they get recognition and credit and respect for it. So,
absolutely.
The Last of My Kind said speedwalkers make 5.5 minute miles. It's very impressive. I think we have a few more super chats. They're not showing up for me.
Let me see here. Yeah, so we got one here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says Phil perfectly understood the communication style concept. So
because he's a man.
Yep. And Shane H. Wilder says, I've seen a video of competitive hog calling. It exists. It is odd. Apparently there's also competitive auctioneering. We live in strange times. I would love to see that.
Would you be able to do competitive auctioneering?
No, but I would love to see that. That would be fantastic.
Wait, okay, I just found a video of competitive hog calling. I want to send it to you.
Wait, I feel like I have. I think I have seen this before.
I just sent you a link. I have not seen this before.
Let me see if I can pull this up here.
Some of these have millions of views.
I have seen this. Okay, I have seen this video before.
Okay.
Holy shit, yes.
Come on.
Amazing.
he got cheers for that.
Yes.
Would you be able to do it? I mean, you're a vocalist, so
I could figure it out.
You'd probably excel at this.
I know what he was doing. It would take a little practice to get the technique right, but I know I could do it. I'm pretty sure.
I just sent you another one. I want to see more.
Okay.
I want to see more examples. We can rate them. Cringe Arena presents. Okay.
Chris Carr, Seymour.
Wait!
Chris Carr is a hog caller?
I always suspected.
Oh no. I always like the cut of his jib.
Wait!
Look at that hat.
Piggy, 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 piggy. Freddie! Freddie! Fred!
Jesus, this is insane.
I think I see him. He's right over here.
Oh, there's this guy.
Okay, skip this guy.
So I've actually grew up in this city.
This isn't stand up.
I actually
Stop.
studied this.
Do the hog call.
Day. So
I hate this.
Big, 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 yeah. Big, 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 big,
I'm kind of horrified.
This is...
The best would be like they bring their wives, and the wives are in the front row cheering.
They're all like, yes, yes.
That was amazing.
Wow.
There's a super chat there.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said we need competitive podcasting. Well, we would lose.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Joe T said Phil Sturgis that disappeared.
Sorry.
Walken? Is that how it said?
Oh, Wacken. It's W-A-K-N.
Okay.
A-N, Wacken. It's Wacken over in Germany. It's a massive, massive metal fest. Sturgis is just a bike rally. It's not anything like Wacken. Wacken is about music. Sturgis has music, but it's about bikes. Wacken is absolutely awesome. So without a doubt, Wacken. And I have played Wacken as well. So 40,000 people.
Oh, there's another one there from Pop Culture Junkie.
The whole communication style idea comes from a book by Georgetown linguistics professor Deborah Tannen. You just don't understand women and men in conversation. Oh, right. When the woman says, like, you don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. You know.
When men complain about their problems to other men, do they do the same thing where they offer solutions?
Yeah. Yeah, and to be honest with you, guys won't complain unless they're kind of looking for a solution.
I see.
Like
that makes sense.
It'll be like dudes be like, "Yo, I'm like," because first thing the guys try to do is figure it out themselves.
Right.
Like your first instinct is, just give me some time, I'll figure it out. And a lot of times guys can. But when they get stumped or that the things that they think are going to work aren't working, then they might go to someone else and be like, "Yo, have you done anything? I can't seem to get through," and they're out looking for help with a solution usually. Yes, they're not going to just go and emote. You know what I mean?
Does benefit you as a man to figure out when if you're dating someone and she asks and she's complaining about something, to figure out, is this a time where you're trying to find a solution?
Yes.
Or are you just looking to vent?
Most of the time, you're totally right. Most of the time you should err on the side of venting.
Yep.
And then if they ask for help or ask them, usually women are like, my experience has been like, most of the time you can at least converse with them, even if like you're not going to get the right answer, you get something close to an answer. And if you're like, "Look, are you looking for a solution? Or you just want me to listen?" And a lot of times they'll just be like, "I just want you to listen." And then it's like, okay, easy, you know. But a lot of people aren't so comfortable communicating that way, you know.
Because it feels like you're not doing something.
Yeah.
Like when you're just listening, you're like, okay, I feel like I'm not being a good listener if I don't have anything to say. I'm not just going to repeat what you're saying back at you. So your natural instinct is to start problem solving and trying to work on a solution for it.
I mean, I think I've been in that situation in female friendships too, where, you know, specifically if a woman is venting about her relationship or something of that nature.
Yes, the women say, yes, you should break up with him.
Well, I mean, usually if they're complaining about it to me and they know that I'm an honest person, I'm going to be saying, yes, you should break up with him, because they're not married. I wouldn't tell someone to get a divorce. But I don't think that they generally receive advice like that very well. We are $18 away from our fourth crisis party today.
The solution I'm looking to solve
is... That's the solution to all of your problems.
The solution I'm trying to have solved is the fourth crisis party. That's what we're looking for today.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. And Olivia Claire in the chat says, "Damn, Brett, at least credit me." Yes.
Cred's given.
Cred's given. So look, the communication, it's really interesting to hear a conversation today about the way men communicate with other men rather than just going into the typical stuff that we always talk about, which tends to be where the divides are and how men and women communicate together, because those things are just as important. How you communicate with your friends is also important to both men and women. Yep.
Yeah. I think we're all caught up though.
Oh no! So NF says Mary is the toxic friend. No, she's not.
Now you're trying to accuse me of shit.
That's just rude.
I think that my female friends generally have known that I am not the type of person who's just like, "Oh, that must be so hard." Like, I am going to just be brutally honest about what needs to happen. And if they don't want to hear that, they're not going to start venting in the first place.
So it puts them off asking you to begin with because they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
So it's like you're setting the bar at a place where it's like, look, if you don't want the answer, don't ask the question. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I ended the poll, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I put, would you attend a male rage ritual? And 83% of you say no. No, you would not.
I voted yes just to flip the scales. I don't know. I couldn't be allowed into a male rage retreat unless I went through an extensive hormone replacement therapy, though.
And there's a $20 one there from High Voltage 75.
Phil, do you have any pre-show rituals before taking the stage? Meditation, exercise, a couple lines of the booger sugar? Wow.
No, I have actually never indulged in the booger sugar. And I have a warm up routine. Couple hours before the show, I start making sure that I'm drinking water and hydrated. Usually about 3 or 4 hours before the show, I start drinking water to make sure that I got enough fluid in me, so that way my throat is ready to go. And the warm up is generally the same when I'm not just on tour, but all the time. I take Prilosec in the morning and at night to keep my acid reflux under control and stuff. So there are things that I do. I have a what looks like it's basically like a reverse bong. Instead of like blowing or sucking air into it, you blow through it, and then because of the water and the valve on it, it actually makes your diaphragm work. So I do that to exercise my diaphragm and stuff. So there's a bunch of things that I do. So yeah, I have a couple routines.
No illicit drugs.
No illicit drugs. No, I'm not. I mean, I don't do anything like that at all. I'm boring. I got guns, so I can't. So.
Right. Well, that you don't want to end up like Hunter Biden.
Exactly. You know?
Pop Culture Junkie said, FYI, John Gray, the Men Are From Mars guy, stole a lot of his ideas from Tannen.
Ah. Or were they inspired by?
He decided to mansplain it. Pat the Plumber said, damn it, Corey.
Why?
What did he do?
What did Corey do?
I don't know. Greg Duvier said, would an MMA camp be the same as a rage camp?
Probably.
I don't think so.
Why not? If they're
the rage is cringe. MMA is that
fair enough. Okay,
they're doing a hobby together.
Fair enough. Okay.
Shane H. Wilder said, as men, we are solution oriented. So if we don't like to talk about issues unless it is something we don't know how to fix on our own.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And there's one more there from Wyatt Calderberg.
I went to an anger management class. It pissed me off, so I stopped going.
Makes perfect sense.
I love it.
Makes perfect sense. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We have passed 119,000 subscribers. We're working our way to 120. So thank you all so much for that. And Phil, thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you very much. You can find me on X. I'm Phil That Remains. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out this summer on the Destroy All Enemies tour with Megadeth and Mudvayne. You can check out our new video. The song is called Let You Go. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, YouTube, Deezer, you know, the internet. And don't forget, the left lane is for crime. So get the hell over if you're not breaking the speed limit.
Mary.
Guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. Perfect. Did we get any other super chats?
I believe that's all of them.
Okay.
I believe that's all of them. Guys, if you'd like to follow me, Instagram and Twerks at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you would prefer to listen rather than watch. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twerks at PopCulture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis. We're not on TikTok anymore. And on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mary, there's one more there.
The Manic Mustache said, I was an undefeated hog calling in my 20s.
Well, there you go.
I hope you're telling the truth. That rules.
Is it difficult?
There you go. With that being said, guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. Stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party. Later.
Bye.